Part 2, Intergenerational Buck Passing. To motivate this way of thinking, let us begin with an admittedly flippant example, which I shall call the fairy tale. Again, we're reading from A Perfect Moral Storm, The Ethical Tragedy of Climate Change by Stephen M. Gardner. Let us begin with the fairy tale. I may digress. The fairy tale proceeds as follows. Once upon a time, there was a generation that confronted great challenges and survived them. It struggled through a time of global financial collapse, defeated a frightening, destructive, and evil enemy, kind of sounds like today, and ostensibly made the world safer for freedom and democracy for generations to come. Doesn't sound like today. This generation inherited a mess, sounds like today, but cleaned it up and passed on a better world to the future. Definitely not today. It earned the moniker, the most splendid generation. The most splendid generation was succeeded by another generation, the bloopers. This generation had a reputation in its youth for grand visions and moral seriousness, peace, love, and understanding. However, when it actually came time to hold the reins of power, it became more consumed by the pleasures of the moment and self-aggrandizement, sex, drugs, and reality TV. Given this, it paid scant attention to the concerns of the future and indulged in whatever activities it could that brought it soft comforts and profit in the short term, regardless of long-term consequences. For example, the bloopers deregulated the financial markets, leaving the world vulnerable to a Great Depression-like crash. They provoked an international arms race and allowed the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, making future wars more likely and more destructive. They polluted the natural environment with wild abandon, undermined the future integrity of the world's climate system and food supply, and so on. In short, the blooper generation lived fast and loose, caring little whether others suffered greatly or died young because of it. Indeed, succeeding generations quipped that one of the blooper favorite anthems should have been rewarded, "I hope I die before I get old." As things turned out, serious harms were indeed inflicted on the following successive generations. Call them the X-Men, call them the Yurts, the Zeds. As a direct result of the behavior of the bloopers, these generations really did see global financial collapse, horrific wars, environmental catastrophe, widespread famines, and so on. Like the most splendid generation before them, it was left to them to clean up a mess. I will quote and unquote here from Stephen M. Gardner's A Perfect Moral Storm, The Ethical Tragedy of Climate Change, a Fairy Tale. I'll end this reading with a short note. Today's methane levels in the atmosphere are higher than they have been in all of human history. I'll leave you with that thought.